Trust your intuition. It's not just a hunch. It's the sum of all of your experiences and knowledge guiding you. Jordan Peterson once said, if we follow our inner intelligence, we can avoid 99% of problems. And that is absolutely true. If you follow your intuition, you can almost solve 99% of your problems and avoid any unnecessary issues. In many instances, we know exactly what we are supposed to do, but we often choose to ignore it. We know our intuitions are right, but at the same time, what our intuitions tell us is often not what we want to hear. So we often rationalize why we should follow our logic instead. We often fall victim to various psychological factors that lead us to ignore our gut and choose the seemingly easier path, only to face consequences later. You see all the yellow and red flags from that person, but you choose to ignore and rationalize why it is okay to accept this situation. You may tell yourself that the red flags are insignificant, that you can change people or situations. Then later you realize that he or she couldn't change and you need to move on. But now you have a hard time to do so due to emotional attachments. You know you should stay away from that toxic friend. But you then rationalize that he is a good person. You know him for a long time and you can change him for the better. You later realize that this friend has way more problems and your gut is right at the beginning. You know there's something not quite right with that job and you shouldn't accept it for the money, but you ignore and suffer consequences later. All of these examples, you know exactly what you should do, or maybe better yet, what you shouldn't do. But you choose to go against your gut feeling. Our inner wisdom is almost always right. But for some reason, many people would rather listen to their egos than their inner wisdom. Ignoring it can lead to pain and suffering in the long run. We can choose to ignore, to not follow through, but we can't avoid the consequences of avoiding it. We often rationalize our choices to justify ignoring our intuition. This is a defense mechanism to avoid confronting the truth. Our ego often desires what is comfortable, familiar, and appears socially acceptable. This can lead us to silence our intuition, even when it's screaming at us to make a different choice. Because of fear of missing out, the desire for instant gratification, and the urge to avoid discomfort, we ignore our gut feelings. We prioritize short-term pleasure over long-term well-being. Ignoring our gut feeling often allows us to stay in familiar, comfortable situations, even if they're ultimately detrimental. We would rather stay in a relationship with a wrong person versus being single, even though we know that when we choose that person, we know something is not feel right, but we decided to do anyway. We would rather accept to have a mediocre job versus to wait for the right job. We rationalize that, hey, it's better to have a job than to have no job at all. Then later we realize that that job costs us a lot of peace and mental well-being. We would rather stay at the same place to have more certainty versus moving to somewhere new that we know deep down we should make a change. We would rather choose location A, which is cheaper but has more problems, versus location B, which is a bit more expensive but gives you more peace. We settle for the location just because of its affordability. Trusting intuition seems simple but can be hard in practice. Like I said, your intuition somehow already knows what you need to do. already know what's best for you. But we often let the ego dictate our decisions in the end. That's why learning to trust your gut feeling requires awareness and self-reflection. Pay attention to your physical and emotional responses to situations. Notice when you feel uneasy, uncomfortable, or simply quote-unquote off about something. These are often signals from your intuition that something isn't quite right. By developing a strong connection to your inner voice and learning to trust it, you can make better decisions and create a life that aligns with your values and desires. Remember that listening to your gut feeling doesn't mean making rash decisions. It's about taking the information your intuition provides and integrating it with your logical thinking. Consider the potential risks and benefits of different options. But don't discount the value of your inner wisdom. Somehow when we make a decision, we either choose to listen to our logical brain or our intuition. But if you are smart, you would use both. When you make a decision using your intuition and your logical brain, you will have more peace in your life. But if when you are in a situation that you don't have enough data, listen to your gut. Listen to your inner wisdom. It somehow already knows what you should do. It somehow already knows the answer that you're looking for. So listen to it. It may not be what you want to hear or to see at the moment, but it will bring more peace and comfort for you in the long run. So every time when you're confused, when you don't know what to do, listen to your inner voice. I can give you all the insights, and that's still not enough for you to make the right decision. But your inner wisdom will show you what you need to do. When in doubt, remember, listen to your intuition. Don't argue, don't fight back, don't rationalize why this, why that. Just trust it and believe that things will work out for the best. Hey, I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for choosing to listen to my podcast. I love doing this and I do it in my spare time. And your ratings and reviews would mean a lot to me. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And until next time, never stop believing in yourself and always be your badass, authentic, genuine self.